So you exist. Meaning, it doesn't matter what you are. It doesn't matter where you believe you are, what God you choose to believe in. All that matters is, even if you were a computer program, just a figment of someone's imagination, an insignificant gnat on this giant ant farm, it doesn't matter because you exist. You're hearing my voice right now because you exist. You're not imagining this. It's real-ish. And the reason that it doesn't matter is because the more you let things matter to you like that, the less you focus on existing. So what if it's a simulation? So what if the earth of this world is flat? So what if the moon is fake? Or quite the opposite? So what? You're still going to wake up tomorrow. Still going to put your shoes on, pants, one leg at a time, I think. Bras, skirts, whatever. Whatever you do in the mornings, you're still going to do it tomorrow, no matter what I tell you today. But hopefully with what I tell you today, or for what you hear today, you will do it with a smile on your face. Because you exist, period. That's it. That's the end of, as low as you may feel, and there's probably going to be somebody watching this video that's really down in a rut. As low as you feel, you exist, and you are significant. And you do matter, period. To whom? To me. If you didn't matter to me, you wouldn't be listening to this. I wouldn't be saying it. And yeah, I'm looking at you. Remember, it is not the events that make you who you are. And there will always be things that you cannot control. Bad or good, your power lies in how you react to these situations. Bad or good. If you want to see a man's true merit, give him power. See what he does with it. As it were, I've always believed that there was something more. And so have you, and don't you fucking for a second think that it's not the case. If you do, then you got some stuff to work out with your own self. If you think that this is the end all be all, or you know, just my job 9 to 5, Starbucks, you know for a fact that there's not. And if you have never sat down and told yourself that, then let me tell you when you have. It's those nights when you're alone in that part of your house when no one can see you, and you cry, quietly or loudly. You cry because you feel so sad that one, either you have no friends, or two, no one gets you, or three, you don't have to, whatever it is you cry about, and I know you do. That's when your own body is telling you that there's something more. You're crying because you don't want to accept it, but you have to. So you're literally crying, kicking and screaming, trying not to. If you accept it, that there's way more to life than you think there is, and death, by the way, you'll stop crying. You won't have those moments anymore. I promise. And you don't have to follow me, or go by what I say, or go by what Jesus says, or Yahweh says, or anything like that. Make your own fucking religion, for Christ's sakes. The point is that you have to follow something. And by follow, I mean believe wholeheartedly in something. Obviously something positive. Because the one thing that every single guru, spiritual guide, priest, shaman, all of them, as much differences as they have and as many disagreements as they have, they unanimously agree on one thing and one thing only. A man and or a woman becomes what they think they become. That's your subconscious. Water, for instance, when you water a garden, does not discriminate between weeds and flowers. It just gives life. It is up to you to pick the weeds. That's the same thing with your mind and thoughts and knowledge. Your brain does not discriminate between negative and positive, good or bad. It just waters everything. So the more frowns you have, sad thoughts, sad words, the more your brain will populate your life with those things and those feelings. Because memories are linked to emotions, if you didn't know. Advertisers use this technique. They give you a memory, and then they re-trigger that memory later on with the same song or, whatever. And memory triggers an emotion. Sadness, desperation, things like that. So you're desperate just to buy something in the store after you've seen it on TV. Like I said before, ba-da-ba-ba-ba, yeah. You're loving it, aren't you? It's true. It's true. The Pepsi logo, I'm not sure exactly how long it was worked on, but there's probably 300 pages worth of research on the Pepsi logo, how it was designed, what it would be, the angles, everything. In fact, in that book, it could be found the logo of Pepsi, and it says the world of Pepsi. That's where they were aiming for when they made the logo. Pepsi was literally aiming to take over the world with a logo, and that's what they got. Why? Well, because you aim high. You exist. You didn't give yourself this life. You didn't give yourself the hardships. What you did is you reacted to events that happened to you in a way that made your mind think it's a hardship. That's why you wake up on the wrong side of the bed. But I trust that you will listen to me and hear this. PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. Happens a lot of times in the military when a near-death situation happens to a human being and the subconscious goes into shock. So, for example, something blows up next to you and you almost die. You go into a shock psychologically, and then from that point, your brain associates a loud noise with almost dying. So your subconscious automatically tells the rest of your brain, yo, if a loud noise happens, you're gonna fucking die. Because remember that time? And that is way more powerful than you believe. And those of you with PTSD, I hear you. And you know how fucked up that is. But you also know that it's the way you reacted to the event. Not saying that you could have helped it, but you can help it now. Because just the same way that you could associate an emotion, which is freaking out, to a memory triggered by a sound, you could untrain your brain to do that. It takes discipline. The first one didn't take discipline because you almost fucking died. But this one will take discipline because you don't want to have that experience again, do you? And to everyone else that doesn't have PTSD, very well the same thing. Think of a moment where you were truly happy. Let me paint you a picture. Think of a moment, pretend you're a 10-year-old kid and you always wanted a pony or a Batman costume, whatever the fuck it is. And the one day that your parents or whoever, you wanted to get it for you, got it for you. They came around the corner and they had their pony in that hand, or they had the Batman costume. It doesn't have to be a birthday gift or anything. Can give. Just remember a moment of sheer ecstasy when that happened. Something that you really, really wanted to happen, fucking happened. You have to have at least one moment like that in life. If you don't, DM me on this and I will work through you with it. But if you can try to remember something like that, remember that moment. You probably will remember it well. Try to close your eyes and relive that moment. And don't relive the moment right away. First, relive the situation, where you were. What color was the paint on the walls? What were you wearing? What was the pony wearing? You know what I mean? What kind of bow did the fucking thing have? Try to remember as many details as you can. If you have to write them down in a journal, write them down. Trust me, this will work. And then after you get all the details, then you play that moment over and over in your head. Now that you've got the details, you paint the room, you set the stage just like it would on a play or a production. You walk into the room and you play the moment. Your parents are coming around. What is your father wearing, your mother wearing? All the details are there. And you replay the moment, and then you feel so happy. The more times you do it, the more real it will seem to you. And that's because your subconscious doesn't know if you're remembering that moment or actually experiencing it again. Because a moment as powerful as that will be triggered to an emotion. And that's where the subconscious gets, quote unquote, confused. It doesn't know if you're remembering about receiving the pony or you've gotten 365 ponies in the past year. I mean, but what happens is this. Just like PTSD, with one really, really shocking moment, about a year of you thinking of that happy moment, day in and day out. And this will happen way less than a year, but just let's, for example, say it's a year. About halfway through, your brain is going to say, yo, instead of me going down to the basement, finding out this fucking emotion, bringing it up and plugging it in, playing it for you because you've been doing this every day, why don't I just leave it up here and kind of just have it playing on repeat? So I don't have to walk downstairs every time. It's annoying. And that right there is the beginning of you untraining your mind or training your mind to the positive. What will happen is you will wake up on the wrong side of the bed still, but you will see why that's a good thing. You will start to understand that people's insults are just projections of what their inabilities are, shortcomings. You will understand that people mocking you is because they're jealous. And even if they're not, which of course they are, but even if they're not, they are because you believe that they are. And just like the confidence I had before, you will have the same confidence. One of the best things you can possibly do in your life is truly not give a fuck about what anyone thinks. Really. That's it. I respect people that do not give a fuck about what I think of them, even if I tell them that they're wrong. Not people that argue and make excuses and, no, you're wrong, I'm this because people that say, okay, thanks, and walk away. That tells me that person doesn't give a fuck what I just said. And I was like, yes. Doesn't give a fuck if they're wrong. Period. That's the first step. The second step is being happy with what you have. What you put out is what you get back. So when no one's looking, not dance like there's nobody watching, although you should do that too. But when no one's looking, the secret thing that you should do is the right thing.